Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Brittany Power Lemieri. I'm a PhD student in the School of Middle Eastern and North African Studies at the University of Arizona. And I have a background in anthropology. I'm doing, of course, an area studies PhD, and my area of special interest is what's known as foodways. Before we get going too much, I do want to ask you to, if you have questions, go ahead and type them using the chat feature. Type them in, and then at the end, I'll save some time and I will read the at least a few of those questions out loud and answer them for you. So I do what's called Foodways Anthropology, and I look specifically at food and identity. And so I also have a background in culinary arts. I was a chef for many years and had a small catering business of my own. So I'm a fairly accomplished cook. I'm also married into a Moroccan family. I spent quite a bit of time in Morocco, and I have learned to do a lot of Moroccan cooking through that process. But I kind of specialize in Israel-Palestine or the Levant area, also Lebanese, Syrian, Jordanian, that kind of thing. So today we're doing Mezze. It's called Fun with Mezze, which Mezze is basically a table full of small bite type foods, dips, and different kinds of like meatballs and all kinds of little stuffed vegetables, that sort of thing. Today we're doing some very simple, super popular, very common to see on the table in almost all cultures in the Levant coast. Plus, we're going to do some classic Moroccan mint tea, and I'm doing some stuffed dates and some honey and tahina dip it's also served along with tea that you can do like as a dessert. So we're going to start with the whole tea thing. So you tilt that a little bit. I have a friend who's helping me sort of with the visual part of it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get this tea started, but I want to show you what I've done here. So in here you see there is quite a large bunch of mint. On either side, I've placed some green tea bags. And I'm going to put sugar to my taste. You can make it as sweet or as not sweet as you like. And then I'm going to put water where that it will come up to enter into these perforations so that it can brew the tea and the mint together. So I'm just going to pour water over the sugar. You don't really need to stir it because the boiling process will dissolve and mix the sugar and water together. So I'm going to return the tea basket and mint. Put a little lid on it, and we're just going to turn that on pretty high heat, and we're just going to let that start going. Okay, I'm going to tilt this back a little bit where you can see my face. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do and you can come a little closer. We're gonna do the tahina honey spread. It's basically this, you can do this either with tahina and honey. Tahini is a sesame paste from the Mediterranean Middle East area. And this is one particular brand of it that I really like. It's called Jabel al-Kosh, and it's from Iraq. I like it because the sesame seeds have been really well toasted in this one, and it gives it a richer flavor. And then just any kind of honey. This is a multi-flower honey. And it'll also use lemon juice. You usually use about 1 lemon, but I mean, you can do it to your taste. And it's equal parts of the honey and the tahina. You're going to hear some noise with the tea. So I'm going to do, now, you can make this in any amount you want as long as you just do equal parts of tahina and honey. I'm just going to make a little bit of each thing to show you because I've already prepared all the dishes ahead of time so that you can see them completed and on the table. I'm just going to clean this just a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to take my knife. I'm just going to put the knife in this way and extract the juice from the lemon. If a little seed falls in, just reach in with your knife and usually easier than that, and just pull it out. Okay, and then you're just going to stir that together, and you just want it to be really well blended. And it just, I mean, it's just a matter of stirring it till it's well blended, at which point you'll add just a few drops of water, which will cause everything to come together in a sort of smoother consistency. I'm going to add just a drop or two of water. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and pour it to the bowl and continue stirring it together in the bowl. Until that water has completely blended in. And you can see it starts becoming very, very smooth. I hope. Let me show you. So you can see it becomes quite smooth. I think we need to tilt it just a little more so that, yeah, that's good. All right. So we'll set that aside. I'm going to rinse this. And I'll quickly rinse the measuring spoon as well. Because we'll be using this again mostly for tahina. Okay. So now I'm going to tell you about the stuffed dates. So for this, you're going to be using blanched and slivered almonds. They may be cut into very thin slices sort of long ways, or you may have found them sliced more across in like a full almond shape, but very thin, that have been sort of parboiled. And the way that you do this is you use about a cup of the blanched almonds to about a half a cup of sugar, which you will put into a food processor, and you will begin to blend until you get like a powder. At that point, you're going to add like a tablespoon of water at a time, and you're going to pulse with the food processor. And eventually you will end up with a paste. And that paste will look very much like this. I'm going to pull out some of the paste. And you see that you can mold the paste. You can make it into little shapes. So then you're going to take your dates. Any sort of date will work. Most people generally here in the States really love Mezze dates. These are Noor dates. Any date will work. And you're simply going to take a date. You're going to cut through it this way. And if it's not pitted, you'll simply remove the pit once you cut through and pull it out. And you're going to make an impression using your thumb this way. And then you're going to place the paste inside the date. And then you can just very simply, with the back of a knife, make a little decorative pattern. You just press in that way, and then you do a crisscross. And it makes a little decorative pattern in your paste. So I'll do one more. I just wonder if that's maybe go. Maybe. I need to grab my phone, I'm afraid, real quickly. I'm so sorry, it'll take just a moment. Sorry, really sorry for that. Okay. So once you get the paste in the, sorry, that's the one I've already done, into your date, then again, you take the back of a knife, or you can even use this side, and you just make little lines and little cross hatches to create a little decorative pattern. Okay, so that's the dates. Now we're going to move on to the baba ganoush. But before we do the baba ganoush, I just want to get you, if you're actually doing this while I'm doing it, what I want to get you to do is I want to get you to prep your bulgur or burghul, whichever name. It's the cracked wheat. This is the variety that I got. I got the #1 grind. They always say to do a fine grind, but I find that really any burghul will work for this recipe. But what you want to do is you want to make a dressing of 3/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil, the juice of 1 lemon, salt and pepper to taste. You're going to pour that over the cracked wheat, and you're going to let that sit. Let it sit for 5 minutes or so. If it hasn't softened quite enough or started to soften quite enough, then add maybe a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of water, blend it up, and let it continue to sit until it is softened. Probably take about 25 minutes, 20-25 minutes. So that's what you want to do with your bulgur to prep it for the tabbouleh that we're going to make at the end. All right, so we're going to start with our baba ganoush, which is a very, very famous and very popular, and I believe we can turn off our tea now. I see the steam coming through. So now it can sit and steep. It's a very, very popular, super common mezze. It's a dip made from roasted eggplants. And what I like to do is I like to put the eggplant directly on your burner, turn the burner on, and then use a pair of tongs to keep rotating the eggplant until it's so the skin is blistered all the way around and the eggplant feels fairly soft. It yields when you squeeze it with your thumb and forefinger. So once that's done, then you just let it sit till it's cool enough to handle. And at that point, you're going to want to remove the charred skin. The reason that I like to do it directly on the burner is because it gives it the characteristic classic smoky flavor that the eggplant is supposed to have for this dish. You can just tear the top part off. It's not a very pretty process. You can just tear that off and then just continue to remove as much of that charred skin as you possibly can. You'll get almost all of it. And a little bit is fine because it just sort of intensifies that smoky flavor, but you'll get almost every bit of it. It comes off really easily after it's cooled. When it blisters, it pulls away from the flesh anyway. So this one is very simple and easy to put together. So there you go. Maybe take off that. All right, beautiful. I'm going to put that in here. I'm just going to rinse my hands quickly. Be sure that if you're doing this in the sink, that you have a screen in the drain to catch, because some of the pieces are really small, so you'll want to catch those. Pardon me, I'm just going to dry my hands down. So this process is really easy. It's pretty much everything is to taste, but for one eggplant this size, I would use about 1/4 of a cup. About 1/4 of a cup of tahina. Okay. You're just going to apply that directly to the eggplant. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to squeeze, let me rinse this quickly. I'm actually going to squeeze the lemon right into the residual tahina. And then I'm going to stir that together to get as much of that tahina that is left in the cup out as possible. Okay. And you don't really need to clean your, if you're doing these 3 dishes that I'm doing right now, you don't really need to clean this right now because you're going to use it for tahina again, which will also have lemon juice for your hummus in a moment. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I'm going to show you a little trick. It's a great trick. We're going to take 2 cloves of garlic. We're going to first give them a good whack, and we're going to simply remove our paper, the skin. Drop that there. Remove the paper. And then, rather than putting salt directly in here, what you're going to do, you're going to turn your garlic this way, and you're going to take and you're going to put salt directly onto the garlic. You're going to take a fork, and with the tongues of the fork, you're going to first go directly over it this way, and you're going to press the fork through, and then you're going to start pulling the fork through this way, using the salt as an abrasive, which is going to make a paste for us. So we'll do this one as well. And then you just continue to do this until you have a pretty smooth paste, which will actually sort of eliminate your need for seasoning this with salt. This will give you the salt that you need in your garlic paste. I did 2 cloves of garlic. We're going to use half of it for the eggplant, and we're going to use half of it for the chickpeas, which is in the next dish. So you can see now that we've got a pretty good paste. A few little pieces that probably still need to be emulsified. All right, so I'm going to take about half of it, and I'm going to drop it right over this. And the beautiful thing with the eggplant is that it's really, really easy. You don't need to process this with a food processor. You just, oh, I put the lemon juice, yes. Okay, so you just start to mash and blend with your fork. It's that simple. And you just keep mashing and blending until you have the elements of the garlic and the tahini and the lemon juice fully incorporated to create a dip. Now, I haven't added any olive oil at this point. There's enough fat, enough oil in the tahina that you really don't need it for blending this together, but it is a beautiful flourish on top at the end. So I am going to now, this is pretty much together. It's nice. I'm now going to put it into a bowl. So we're going to take it, we're going to put it into the bowl. You'll of course want to get all of this out of here, but for time purposes, we just want to get this where you can see how it's supposed to be. We're going to spread it into the bowl. And then we are going to, I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to take this little bit and I'm going to put it right here this way. Now I'm going to take, I'm using a chopstick. You can use anything, a skewer, anything, even maybe toothpicks. And I'm just going to make some furrows. Some little furrows. Okay. And at that point, I'm going to put the olive oil so that it falls into those furrows. And then we're going to take and put a couple of wedges lemon. And there we have our baba ganoush. So now we are going to do the hummus. So I have here one can of chickpeas. You can either cook the chickpeas yourself by soaking them overnight and then boiling them with a little bit of baking soda in water to cover for an hour and a half to 2 hours until they're soft. And you can choose to or not choose to. Normally I do, but today I'm not going to. Either with ones you cooked yourself or ones from a can, to remove the skins, which you can do by rubbing in a towel. It takes a little bit of time. And so today, in the interest of time, I'm not going to do that, but it does give you, in your finished product, a totally creamy tahini. And I mean, hummus built tahina. And if you've ever wondered, if you've ever tried to make this before, why you don't get it completely smooth at home, that's the reason. The little skins that are still on the chickpeas never completely blend up. So that makes it completely smooth, but it's not an absolute necessity. And lots of people don't do that step. Lots of people kind of like that texture, but lots of people do it too. I personally do like it, but today, in the interest of time, I'm not going to do that. We're going to pretty much drain all but just maybe less than a quarter of the liquid that's in the can. Okay. So we're going to now, okay, so I'm going to move over here to the processor. All right, we're going to put the chickpeas in first. I'm probably only going to use about a half of this can right now. But if you were using this whole can, then you would want to use, this is a 14-ounce can, I believe, 14-ounce can. And this is what it looks like. This came from Babylon Market on Speedway and Alberton. If you were to use a whole container of chickpeas, then you would use about a quarter of a cup of tahina. I'm not using the whole thing right now because I just want to demonstrate how to put it together. And so I'm only probably going to use maybe about a tablespoon and a half of tahina for this amount. So I'm just going to reach in with my tablespoon. And we're going to put in the tahina first. I like to put it kind of all the way around like that. Honestly, I do believe for this amount that that's plenty. And then we're going to take the remainder of our garlic paste. We're going to add it. And then the juice of this, I'm going to use probably all of this lemon juice because I like a really lemony tahina or a hummus built tahina, but that is totally to one's taste. And that's true all across the Middle East. People, each family, each community has their own preferences about lemon, about garlic. It's totally about personal taste. Okay, so that's just pretty simple. You just pulse it till you get as smooth a paste as you can get. I like to pulse and not just let it run because that way I can kind of between the machine running, I can kind of see where I am. Okay, we're just going quickly. You can see, just so that you can see, if I can get this off. you can tell, what you're going to look for is you want this top to look really smooth. That's when you'll know that it's all been blended all the way through. Because the unblended bits are going to be near the top. It pulls as the centrifugal action pulls the unblended pieces down to the bottom. Right there, yeah. I'm going to stop there. I could probably keep going, but again, in the interest of time, I'm going to stop there. And you're just going to remove this from the machine itself. You're going to get your bowl, and you're going to spoon it into the bowl. This could probably have been pulsed about 4 more times at that same sort of interval that I was doing. And it would be like perfect. But again, in the interest of time, we're moving along. So at this point, you're going to, you can use this skewer and you can make a nice little furrow this way, a nice little furrow this way, depending on what your what kind of container you have and everything. You just want to make a little bit of a groove for your olive oil to sort of trough into. We're going to put a little cumin over the top, a little paprika over the top, and then the olive oil. And that is your hummus bil tahina. Just something that I would like for you to know. Hummus or hummus are the Arabic and Hebrew word for chickpea. So even if these were left whole, they would still be hummus. This is hummus bil tahini, meaning that this is hummus that has been blended with tahini to make a dip. So in English, we would just call this chickpeas blended with tahini and garlic. But that's what hummus means. It just means chickpeas. So here's our hummus bil tahini. All right, so now for the final dish, we are going to do our tabbouleh. So your tabbouleh may not be completely soft because I don't know if I'm not exactly sure how long it's taken us, maybe about 24 minutes or so to get going here. It might be soft enough. If it's not, you can add a little bit more water to it and it should be pretty quickly. But it's a very, very, very straightforward dish. It's very simple to prepare. And so I'm going to just pull down the stuff that we need. We're going to do it with a little bit of fresh mint. So you see fresh mint leaves, which I am going to rinse, and then I'm going to squeeze dry here along with the parsley. So I'm just going to rinse them underwater. We're going to shake them out. We're going to place them here. And then we're going to take It's a bit much. We're going to take about half of this size for what we're doing here, but at home you would use a whole thing like this. We're also going to rinse it. You want, if there's any grit at all, you want to get rid of that. So you're going to rinse it under water, and you're going to shake it out. Then you're going to place it on paper towel. You're just going to take the paper towel, you're just going to ball it up and let the paper towel absorb the excess of the water. All right, then you're going to pull that out of there. I'm going to take this and get rid of that towel. Now, it's all right to have a little bit of the very, very fine stems that are at the top, but you don't want all these woodier stems at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and we are going to just sort of slice on the bias to remove mostly the leaves and leave the woody stems behind. And you can keep turning it. Like I said, it's okay to have a little bit of the very fine stems where the leaves attach, but you really want to leave this part, this stiff, woody part of the stems behind. All right. If you have a compost bag here, if you compost, you know, that's a great thing to put in your compost. All right, so then you're going to take the leaves of the mint and your parsley leaves. You're going to pull them together into kind of a ball, kind of a tight ball if you can. And you will start to chop. Now, you don't have to have a super, super fine chop on this because this is actually your salad, right? This is like your salad green in this particular recipe. Oftentimes, if you're familiar with tabbouleh here in the States, it's presented as a green salad. It's not. It's actually a salad of herbs. This particular recipe is a recipe from Nazareth in Palestine. It's an Arab Christian village primarily in Palestine. And this recipe comes from there. It's very famous in all of Il-Shams, or the land of, which was the old name for Syria, which means the land of the sun. And Syria used to include Lebanon, sometimes part of the Transjordan, and of course the area that we call Israel Palestine. That was all part of Il-Shams. And so in Syria, you often find the addition of the mint, and you will find cucumbers and tomatoes and onion. In Lebanon, it's generally traditional to only use parsley and to only use green onions and tomatoes. I love the cucumbers, I love the mint, so I prefer to do more of a Palestinian or Syrian style, but whatever you like is what you should do. It's really nice with the green onions and the tomatoes as well. And of course, the grain, which has been more or less marinated in the dressing, gives so much flavor and a beautiful texture, but it is not the base of the salad. It is the herb that is the base of the salad. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to just scrape it off of the cutting board and on into this bowl. Okay. remove this. And now I'm going to quickly rinse this. But I'm going to return to my serrated knife, which I prefer for doing tomatoes and cucumbers. So I'm going to return to that one. I'm also going to be sure and rinse my spoon well, because we'll want to remove the seeds from our cucumber. Okay, so let's do the cucumber first. You're going to cut off the very ends and drop them either in the, dispose of them. You're going to cut it across this way, and then you're going to take your spoon, and if you'll follow me this way, you're going to take your spoon and you're just going to go right here, make sure that you get in there, and then you're just going to draw the spoon through, and you're going to remove the seeds. You really don't want the seeds in this recipe. Okay, very simple. Really, really simple. Just remove those seeds. Okay. Then you're going to take the, I don't like that little bit there, so I'm gonna maybe remove all of that. I didn't like how that looked, sorry. All right, so then you're going to take, and you're gonna go to the base at one end, and you're just gonna cut straight through, and then at the base at the other end, and you're going to cut straight through. Same thing with this one. And then you're simply going to cut across. You don't want tiny pieces for this, because this is an ingredient for a salad. And it's not like, like a chopped salad where you want everything to be in tiny uniform pieces to blend together. So you're just going to add that to the bowl. And then you're going to take your tomato. You'll remove the part where the stem was attached. And then the tomato, you'll simply cut in half this way. You'll turn it with the flesh side up. And then you'll do the same kind of cut from the base that way, across each one of them. And then you simply come back across and you cut them into more or less cubes. And for that one. And then the same thing with this one. And then you're going to add this to your base. And finally, you're going to put some onion. I used the other part of this onion in the other one, but I'll just show you. You can certainly use this knife, it's fine. You're just going to go through this way, then and roll your knuckles back, and you're going to come in this way, and this way, and this way, and then you're going to just cut across. I'm just going to do 2 cuts here. And then you have your onion. Now, once you've done that, And then you're just going to take a spoon and you're going to take out a nice size spoon of your tabbouleh, your bulgur that has been dressed and seasoned and softened from the liquid. And then you're just going to mix all this together. You can add just a tiny bit more salt for the tomatoes particularly. And perhaps even, did I put the pepper back up here? I did, sorry. And maybe even just a little bit of black pepper. Okay. And you're just going to blend all that together. And you're going to put it in the serving bowl. Okay. And then I like to, at this point, I like to just do a little flourish of olive oil and a tiny bit more lemon juice over the top. And there's your tabbouleh completed. Okay, so we're going to carry these out to the table. So mezze are meant to be enjoyed with friends, lots of friends. So having these other salads here would be actually quite classic to have these others as well. So because I'm going to bring the tea now, and then we'll talk about everything. So we are going to pour the tea into our Moroccan tea pot. Now, we're going to take this, we're going to swirl it around. We're going to pour this off into a cup. And we're going to set it aside. And that is going to be discarded. The tradition is that the first cup preps the pot, it seasons it, and then you add in the remaining tea. I'm just going to take this back to the kitchen. We're going to shut this, and then we're going to pour the first glass, which we then pour back. I'll do it from this side. Which it's believed that this pouring the first glass and returning it to the pot helps to aerate the tea and remove any bitterness that might still be in the tea. At this point, you can actually pour the tea for service. When you pour the tea for service in Morocco, you start here, and then you lift your tea pot. As you see, it creates a nice foam. You always want to have, of course, most Moroccan hostesses and hosts are more skilled at this than I am, and they generally never spill a drop. But that's how it's done. All right, so now I just want to talk to you about, I just want to talk to you about the bread. I got bread today. I bought bread at Babylon Market that I talked about earlier on Albanon and Speedway. This is a whole wheat variety of flatbread. They have all kinds of different flatbreads in the Middle East. This is a whole wheat variety. This is a white version. It's a Lebanese style, but it's also considered a pita. It's considered a khubz, and it's a really large one. Any of these would be appropriate, and you use the bread for tearing and dipping into the various salads and dips, or to hold a kebab, an individual piece of kebab or a meatball of some sort, that sort of thing. And then here, we have, as I said, we have, since we have tea, since we have tea, we're going to have sweets and pastries generally. This is actually, I made this for myself. This is called Mezze, and I had it already made, and so I put it on the platter. This is a kind of, it's like a bread, but it's not exactly. It's very flaky. When you break it, you can see that it sort of flakes into different layers. This one has been made for a day or so, but you can see it flakes into layers. And when it's really fresh, it just flakes almost like a Southern style biscuit, which would be eaten with the Turkish honey and tahina halva spread. In Greece, this is also known as tahina mellow, or tahina with honey. It's amazing. It's really good on the bread. So this is pretty much it. I guess you can just move the bread over now. And I think we could take a few questions. Let's see. Yes, it has, I believe it is being recorded. Oh, thank you about the presentation. I appreciate that. Actually, that's really important in the preparation of mezze, really in the preparation of all Middle Eastern dishes. The presentation is extremely important. Everything's garnished, everything is artfully displayed. Are there more questions? Question and answer. Let's see. It's just sugar into, okay, so Carla asks, what went into a food processor with sugar and almonds? It's just sugar and almonds, and then once it's ground to a powder, then you just start adding water about a tablespoon at a time. Some people do like to add a little rose or orange flower water, or even lemon juice, which then you would add that like you would add water, regular water, just a tablespoon, and then continue to add just regular water, a tablespoon at a time, until you get the paste that you can blend in your hand. For the bulgur, for this amount of, hi, Gemma and Rory, or Hema and Rory, I'm sorry. For the bulgur, you would probably use around a half a cup. And yes, someone, the ingredient list should be available, Siobhan. It should be available and should have been sent to anyone who registered, but I'll check on that and make sure that anyone who wants the ingredients list who doesn't have it will get it. Hi, Grace. What would I recommend that you try to make first if you're a beginner? I think the tabbouleh is one that is almost foolproof. But these are all pretty easy. The honey and tahini halva spread is really, really simple. I hope that you try at least those, but none of these are very, very difficult, especially when you use the processor. You saw with the baba ganoush, you can just mash it with a fork. Yes, I can review the names of each of the dishes. So the salad of the herbs and vegetables with the bulgur or the cracked wheat and the lemon olive oil dressing is called tabbouleh. It's spelled alternately T-A-B-B-O-U-L-I or T-A-B-B-O-U-L-E-H. You see both of those spellings pretty commonly. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess you can't really see if I'm doing this, can you? I'm not sure. Can y'all see right now with
point the camera down just a little bit.
Put the camera down just a little? Okay. But they can see with me reading their questions?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So the Turkish halva spread, it's also called in Greece, it's also called tahina mellow or tahini with honey. This can also be made oftentimes in Il Shams or the Levant, Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Palestine, Jordan. This is oftentimes made with date syrup as well. And then it's called, that is called dibus, or it's called silan in Hebrew, dibus in Arabic, silan in Hebrew. And it'll be called tahina bil dibus, or I think it's also called tahina warashi. It has a few different names when it's made with date syrup. And then, of course, we have the hummus bil tahini, which is the mashed or processed hummus or chickpeas with the tahina paste, which is the sesame paste that I showed you, lemon juice, garlic, salt, olive oil, and it's seasoned with a little cumin and paprika. And then finally, the baba ganoush, which is the eggplant and tahina dip with salt, garlic, and tahina and olive oil. I hope that that was helpful. Yes, I can, Grace, I can recommend a good local store to buy supplies. Babylon Market at Alvernon and Speedway. They have an excellent variety. They're always well stocked. They're very, very, very nice people. They're very helpful. It's an excellent place. And if you are unfamiliar with Middle Eastern foods, they're always happy to answer questions. They're very, very helpful. They have a butcher in the shop that does an amazing job. They have lots of fresh breads that they buy from people who bake breads. They even have Ethiopian injera frequently there for purchase, which is the teff bread from Ethiopia. It's a wonderful resource, Alibaba. I mean, I said Alibaba, I meant Babylon Market. I'm from San Antonio, and Alibaba is our Babylon Market in San Antonio. I apologize. Babylon Market at Speedway and Alvernon. I did not use an English cucumber. You can. It's perfectly fine. I like to use the little tiny Persian. I just think they're more delicate and they have a more fresh sort of melonier flavor, more like a melon than not as musty as some of the larger cucumbers. That's just my preference though. Will the recipes be sent? Hi, Shelby. For all the cooking, yes, they should be sent for all. Well, not the rest. Maybe I'll check into that, but definitely an ingredients list will definitely be sent. And I can certainly see to it that recipes get provided for all of these. Yeah. No, hi Stacy. No, there is no difference between tahini. Tahini is the sort of Greek Turkish pronunciation. Tahina is the Arabic and Hebrew pronunciation. That's the only difference. Okay, well, it's 1:01, so actually we, I guess, have reached our time. I really appreciate you all for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that I explained everything well. I certainly enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of fun. And I really appreciate you all. What is the word for honey? In Arabic, the word for honey is asl. And in the Greek word I used was melo. Okay, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending this time with me, and I hope you all enjoyed it and learned something. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Brittany. That was lovely.
Great, wonderful. Thank you. I'm so glad. All right, bye, everybody.